to his first ever season as a head coach, ends on a very high platform.
Wow, what a heck of a first year it was for Dana Holgorsen at West Virginia. The former offensive coordinator at Oklahoma State, boy, first year at West Virginia, got them to a Big East championship, got them to the Orange Bowl, and got them a major victory over Clemson. Not only did West Virginia score more points in the bowl game than any team in the history of college football with that big fat 70, but Geno Smith threw for more yardage than any other quarterback in a BCS bowl game, having over 400 yards through the air. Scary thing for defenses, he's back. A lot of his friends are back too. West Virginia's final year in the Big East, no question, ended with a bullet. And they are going to be very tough for any defense to handle in the Big 12, and that does make them a contender in this, their inaugural year in the league for 2012. They are one of 3 defending league champions to play in the Big 12 this year. TCU, of course, defending Mountain West champions, Oklahoma State defending Big 12 champs, West Virginia defending champs from the Big East. So it should be quite a fun year for the West Virginia offense. We mentioned Geno Smith. Already hasn't played it down in the Big 12, and he's getting awards. Big 12 preseason Offensive Player of the Year. And you look at his numbers, why not? The guy threw for over 4,000 yards last season. That's right, over 4,000, averaged 346 yards passing per ball game. And West Virginia last season was ranked 15th in the country in total offense, averaging 470 yards per ball game. Geno Smith was a big reason why. Smith, no doubt about it, is going to have an opportunity to become a Heisman Trophy contender. I think he's right now probably got to be one of the top 5 in the country when it comes to mentioning Heisman Trophy candidates. He's one heck of a player. Helps, too, that he's going to be returning a lot of his friends back at the wideouts. At least 3 of them. We're talking about Taven Austin last season, over 100 receptions, 101 to be exact, along with 1,186 yards receiving and 8 touchdown receptions. We also have other receivers back for West Virginia who put up some pretty high numbers, including Stedman Bailey. Last season, nearly 1,300 yards of receiving and 12 TDs. And complimenting as well will be Ivan McCarney, who had almost 50 receptions a year ago. Defenses, it doesn't matter how good you are, going to have your hands full trying to cover those guys. Key number 1 for West Virginia is going to be the ground attack. Not that West Virginia's ground game is ever going to amass the passing game in terms of yardage. So it's not what you're looking for. The big thing I think you're looking for, if you're the Mountaineers, you're trying to find more yards per carry. Last season, a mere 3.9 yards per carry. Last season, West Virginia was a mere 92nd in rushing out of 120 teams. Again, what you're looking for is more yards per carry. Got at least 2 guys back who saw experience last season. Dustin Garrison, and we're going to have to really see how that knee holds up. Last year, in bowl preparation for Clemson, got hurt, big-time knee injury, didn't play against the Tigers. Probably not going to be 100% to start the year. That means Sean Alston should get the majority of snaps entering the 2012 season. So we'll see how that plays out with both Alston and Garrison in the backfield. And I think a big advantage that they're going to have this year is the fact that you have a terrific offensive line. 4 starters back for the Mountaineers, and that includes a 4-year starter in Joe Madsen at center. He's a good one. Both guards return as well. On the right side, Jeff Braun entering his 3rd year as a starter, and the guy who has started 22 games for the Mountaineers, the other guard, the left guard, and that is Josh Jenkins. At the right tackle, Pat Ager, and the one position they do have to fill, and it's a big one, the left tackle, protecting the blind side of Geno Smith, and it looks like Quentin Spain is in line to do that. Guy's got a lot of USDA meat, 335 pounds, so he's a big one, but again, he's the inexperienced of the 5 offensive linemen. The tight end position, they're not very big at tight end, so really watch for the tight end. Again, the left tackle position, very important for the Mountaineers. But most of the ingredients are back, and don't be surprised again if West Virginia has one of the top offenses in college football. Key number 2 to me is going to be pressure QB. Last season, not much of an issue but it wasn't much of an issue thanks in part to the way their defensive ends played. That was Bruce Irvin as well as Julian Miller. Well, both are gone for the Mountaineers, and also gone is their former defensive coordinator in Jeff Castile, who went to Arizona to become their defensive coordinator under former West Virginia head coach Rich Rodriguez. So now you have a new co-defensive coordinator in Joe DeForest. A big loss in Stillwater, but a big gain in Morgantown. Mountaineers are going to be changing up their defensive alignment. You won't see the 3-3-5. You're going to see the 3-4, and I think that alone should improve the pass rushing, and also you're compensating for the losses of both Miller and Irvin from the defensive ends by adding an extra linebacker to the mix. So now you're not going to have 6 as far as your front 2 defensive lines. Now you're going to have 7 with 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers, 2 insides and 2 outsides. That should definitely help as far as containing the run and as far as getting a good pass rush from both the ends and the outside linebackers. So now let's talk about the defensive line, which is going to look a little bit different as far as the personnel. Now you have Will Clark on one defensive inside, and coaches at West Virginia, they're really high on him. And then the other one is going to be Tyler Anderson, along with the defensive tackle. That's Jorge Wright. As far as the linebackers, they're pretty athletic, but at least 2 of them have to overcome some nagging injuries, and that includes Jawan Snow, who's had some shoulder issues, but I think maybe the shoulder surgery has helped that. And then another linebacker, probably the best of the bunch, in Terrence Garvin, but he's had some knee issues in the past. And the other 2 linebackers include Jared Barber, a one-time special teams player, probably will still be used on special teams for the Mountaineers, but he should be a linebacker in the starting rotation, and also Doug Rigg filling out that 3-4 as far as the linebackers. Now, in terms of the secondary for the Mountaineers, to me, they look like they're going to be pretty good. A couple of veterans coming back, and they've got a true freshman that they're going to be putting in the rotation, it looks like. Talk about the veterans first in Darwin Cook, strong safety who could be all Big 12 this year, pretty good player. And then at a corner, you've got Pat Miller, a guy that they're counting upon as well. Filling out the rest of the Mountaineer defensive backfield lineup, true freshman, and this guy's going to be the free safety in Carl Joseph. Joseph already has seen some action in some spring football this past April, and they think that he is going to be a dynamic player throughout his career with the Mountaineers from day one, once they strap it up in early September. And then rounding it out will be Broderick Jenkins from the other corner spot, and he'll also be used on special teams to return kicks. Okay, talking about special teams for the Mountaineers, there's some ups and there's some downs. But first, let's talk about the ups, and that is Tyler Bittenkirk, the kicker who last season went 16 of 22. Started off hot, made 12 of his first 13, went to a slump at the end, missing 5 of his next 9, but did make the clutch kick against South Florida in the Big East finale, and that propelled the Mountaineers to a share of the Big East championship and also a berth into the Orange Bowl. So they'll be counting on his leg once again. Taven Austin, we mentioned how dangerous of a receiver he is, but watch out for him on special teams, returning punts, which he averages well over 12 yards per punt return, and also kick returns too. He returned 2 kicks for touchdowns last season. And Austin, again, besides being a terrific receiver, very dangerous when he gets his hands on a kick or on a punt. But the punting game last year for West Virginia, as far as kick coverage and punts, not the best. Both kickers that they had last season, neither one of them even averaged 40 yards per punt, and their kick coverage was terrible a year ago. In fact, they gave up 1 punt for a touchdown in 2011, as well as 2 kickoff returns. So there's definitely some taking and some giving for West Virginia in special teams. They've helped them, but they've really hurt them as well. So really watch out for the special teams teeter-totter for the Mountaineers. Okay, looking at the schedule for West Virginia, the first 3 games should be absolutely no problem at all. Marshall, James Madison, and Maryland. Are you kidding me? If that's not 3-0, then it's going to be a long year for the Mountaineers. It should be 3-0, and then they'll have Baylor coming up. Should be 4-0. That game's in Morgantown. The next two games is really where we're going to see if West Virginia can get into the national championship discussion, because they play at Texas and at Texas Tech back-to-back weeks. You're playing against a terrific Texas D that particular week. Then the following week, you're playing against a terrific Texas Tech offense. So Austin and Lubbock could be dangerous for the Mountaineers. So second half of the season, you get Kansas State at home, week off before you play TCU at home, and then you go to Oklahoma State, where it's the homecoming for Dana Holgorsen, going back to Stillwater, where, of course, he was offensive coordinator prior to taking the West Virginia job. And Oklahoma at home in early November, a lot of Big 12 ramifications in that one. And then Iowa State on the road, and you close out at home against Kansas. So the schedule for West Virginia, as you notice, starts and finishes soft, but it's that 7-game stretch in the middle that, for the most part, is going to test the Mountaineers. But it's a really favorable schedule because 5 of their 9 conference games are in Morgantown, which is a big plus. I think West Virginia offensively is going to be tough for anybody to stop. Defensively, though, I'm not sure how they're going to do as far as getting to the quarterback, and also the running game needs to be a little bit better. I think the Mountaineers are going to get to double digits in victories. I think they fall a little bit short, however, and I have them finishing in a tie for second at 10-2, but I could easily see them getting one of those at-large BCS bids. I'm going to say they're going to finish in the Sugar or in the Orange Bowl. I think last year they made a pretty favorable impression to the BCS, just how good they could be in a major bowl. So that's my look. Again, I got West Virginia going 10-2 and tied for second in the Big 12. We're going to head to Lubbock, Texas, and talk about the Texas Tech Red Raiders on my next show. See you next time.